Well, welcome everybody to the Manchester Centre for Buddhist Meditation. It's a great pleasure and honour to welcome the Reverend Miththa, and I'm sorry I forgot.
It's Premananda.
Venerable Premananda here. Reverend Miththa was telling us something of his story this morning, and it's a very, very remarkable one indeed, of how he was born in extreme poverty in Sri Lanka, but through persistence and education worked his way to become one of the wealthiest businessmen in that country, but somehow with a life that would have seemed externally to be very happy and contented in every way, but from what he's told us, somewhere inside there was always this feeling of being in prison among the concerns of the business and family life. So it's very nice indeed to welcome him, and he's offered to speak to us on a topic of extreme importance to us all, especially as we start feeling ourselves getting a little bit older, and that is how to die happily. And he'll be taking his inspiration from the Baddhaka sutta, which is in the Anguttara nikaya, where I believe some monks asked Sariputta about this very question. So
okay. Thank you very much, Valerie. So with that small introduction, like to greet you as good afternoon to you, every one of you. So, and also trying to make the rest of your few minutes or few hours with us a good one. And this opportunity for me to be with you is being primarily initiated by Vasanta Bedi, one of our very faithful friends. Actually, she's the one who helped us getting visas to UK, and on her letter, actually sponsor letter, we could obtain our visa to come here for 6 months. In this short visit of 6 months, actually I think we've been working almost 20 hours a day to service our Dhamma service to our devotees, both Sri Lankan and like English and other nationalities. And I think we're close to departure. On the 25th we'll be returning to Sri Lanka, to our forest. And I'm counting my fingers until I get back home in the forest. You know why? Actually, when you start living in the forest like that, as in a forest monastery like a monk, your seclusive is such that sometimes when you come out even to see one few buildings here and there, you feel like coming to another world. You completely forgotten about what you saw during more than half of your life, and it seems troubling your eye. Sometimes living for prolonged time within these buildings and people sometimes make a headache. So that means now you are training your mind to be seclusive and also to live in peace. So that peacefulness is sometimes being shattered, and then that is the time you count your fingers until you get back to the forest. And Vasanta Bedi is the one who wanted us to give these Dhamma services to wherever we go. This evening we are going to Bristol, and 2 days later we are in London, and lots of people wants us to tell them Dhamma stories. So obviously everybody is looking for some reality or some truthfulness in their lives, which cannot be explained for them themselves. So extra help is definitely worthwhile for people looking for this truth. So selection of this topic from Baddhaka, it's the Baddhaka Sutra from Anguttara Nikaya. It's a quite beautiful one really. Because this sutta doesn't contain much deeper Dhamma, but actually it's very deep. But the suggestions the sutta gives to you, presents to you, are all sort of applicable things, which you always go across from day-to-day business. So it is only a tuning of and tightening of certain nuts and bolts and readjusting the lifestyle can make a very big difference at the end. So to start with, let me, death is something that nobody wants to talk about generally. People like, they celebrate births, but they don't celebrate the death. And in certain countries, even in our country, in some places, they always say talking about the death is something not auspicious. You better shut your mouth if you want to talk about the death. Sometimes the children, when they talk somebody else's death even, the parents used to stop them. Don't do that. It's a sin, it's not to be done. Sometimes if you are more trying to explain the varieties and the conditions of this, sometimes the parents or the teachers come and say, look, it will come the time it will come. Until then, you be patient, live peacefully. So that means we have a kind of a fear. Everybody's heart, not even to think about it. But it will come one day. It's so uncertain. It may be in next few seconds time, next few minutes time. And it's good that we see each other today, but none of you can give you a guarantee that we will get back home just like we came. The death is something like that. So if there is something which is very important in the life to talk about, my suggestion is the death. But sometimes people have inhuman feelings, like they always like to talk about other people's death. It's quite interesting, especially the media like CNN, BBC and all the countries. If they don't have that kind of deaths, the media is not going to work. There's been flourished by all those very bad stories like wars, conflicts, bloodsheds, bloodbaths. The world needs, especially the media need, to conquer the whole world using all those bad effects. So, today, I have some nice thing to tell you. Per day in the world, there are little more than 160,000 people die every day. And 6,000 Britons, not really they die per day, they die per month. And every second there are 2 people somewhere dying. So this has been kind of a very common thing to talk about. And a lot of sutras coming in through the Buddha Deshana, that is Buddha scripts, is mostly about this death. Actually we have a meditation called the contemplation of death. Because that way only, not only you try to analyze the death, you having this death in mind, that we only have a very short time. Why we quarrel with each other? Why we debate? Why we argue? What are the things that we can't share? What are the things why we can't share? Such a small life. We always think that 70, 80 years is a big time to live. So everything is comparison. And through Buddhist teachings, you probably all must know that in divine fields, the lifespan is much more longer. The closest the state of divine fields, their average lifespan is 80 million years. 8 billion human years. This years in this world, in terms of this measurement. So that's such large. So compared to that, our lifespan of 70 years is nothing. It's few minutes there. So that is exactly why we should discipline ourselves, so that we don't hurt ourselves we don't hurt others. What a peaceful world this will be if somebody is in the same track of thinking like this, so that, there's nothing valuable in this world to be agreed with and also to be hated. It's such small things. So, I happened to read one of those opportunity notices here in England. Like to read it to you. This is not the real name actually. Robert Scott passed away peacefully in such hospital on Wednesday, 14th January 2017, after a long illness at the age 40. So all the other opportunity notices carries this word, peaceful pass away. So I was looking for on the internet, what do they really mean by peaceful pass away? So I came across a nice collection of information. I thought I might as well it's important for you to listen to them if you don't have the time to search in the internet. In Israel, they have a separate set of factors where they establish the peaceful death. One does not receive a proper burial, then it is called a non-peaceful death. So you have to have proper burial. So if a man is killed by a woman, then it's not a peaceful pass away. And in the medical dictionary it says, dying at home with family around, without stress and without any physical or mental pain and symptoms, is going to be a peaceful death. So in briefly what this medical dictionary says is that the smooth transition from living to non-living is peaceful pass away. And there are other categories like well and long spent age. So after very long, 70, 80, 90 years, if somebody is going to die, so they consider that as a peaceful pass away. And finish all the business. This is what the internet says. If he thinks that all the business file are closed, no more, then it seems to be have a peaceful day. No enemies. That's the little criteria, because how can you know then? Everybody is good with you, because that is up to them whether they think they are enemy or not. So if somebody dies at home, that is called peaceful death. And if it is not a non-violent one, like accident and fearsome disease, again they call it a peaceful death. And if there is a death without much pain, much physical and mental pain, they always say that is a peaceful death. And finally, if you are surrounded by your children and parents and wife and husband and your good friends, no matter how you die, they say it's a peaceful death. I'd like to spare some few moments with you. What do you think a peaceful death would be? What do you think, sir?
Without pain.
Physical?
No physical and mental pain. All issues in life dealt with.
A peaceful transition then. Okay. Yes, sir.
If you had a peaceful life, if your life was peaceful.
How do you know that your life is peaceful? So?
Well, my life isn't peaceful, but I mean, I'm presuming that comes into it, because it would just roll on into the peaceful life would just continue into the death.
Yeah. Okay. Without much peaks, ups and downs.
Without the ups and downs.
Yes. Okay. Any ideas, please? Without my pointing my finger to you. Yeah.
In samadhi, with some clear comprehension and samadhi as well.
Yeah. Then you call it a peaceful life. Yeah.
It's more likely to be. Probably
Yeah,
the
okay.
mind would be settled, heart to be settled possibly.
Yeah, mostly settled. So does it mean by you undergo sort of severe disease like cancer and finally the death, physical and mental pain comes, but if you can make yourself settle, you call it a peaceful death, is it? Yeah. Any ideas?
I think if your if your conscience is clear, I suppose it's like closing the file so that there's any wrongs you've done to people have been put right, and so you could die with the knowledge that you lived well. And not with any bad feeling behind.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but the thing is that we try to discipline ourselves
Yes.
after passing, especially the young age. When it comes to the middle age, you think about your life and try to transform into a very well settled life. But young life and the child life as a child, sometimes we don't know what is right and wrong. We do a lot of bad things like sort of killing animals, that and this. And sometimes you can be a drug addict and finally you change your life. Fine, this is okay. But when you flash back into your life, you see a lot of naughty things, bad things you have done. Now you understand that. So how do you see that?
I think if you'd really given up all that, then it wouldn't disturb you. You would know that was just then.
Yeah, okay. Any other ideas? Any other? Yeah.
I think the most difficult thing is accepting the fact, not just intellectually but emotionally, that you are going to die.
Yeah.
And being at peace with that.
So that means, when you very close to the death, you definitely know that you are going to end the life.
Yes.
So that realization, do you think it will make it peaceful?
Well, I think
It would sometimes, yeah?
I think it's about preparation for death.
Yeah.
It's about learning to accept that one is going to die.
Yeah.
And
How do you explain that, Abhi? A moment ago we talked about the death will come, in the next moment you...
I think intellectually I can accept that is true, but I think finding the emotional equivalent to that is where the work is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Training yourself to be like that.
Yes.
Okay. Any others? Good, nice. Please come with me, join, so that I like, you all are brilliant and brainy people, I know that. So I like to, as far as my talking, it's my stuff. When I listen, I'm gaining your stuff. Sorry.
I've looked at quite a lot about death over the last 12 months, and I'm always struck when you read things and you look about things, especially with children, how peaceful they look. I mean, I know that a lot of children are quite innocent, but even so, it's almost like they know they're going to die, and somehow they are prepared for it. They seem much more at ease with it than the people around them, obviously. And I'm always struck at how calm they seem, how peaceful they seem within themselves.
That's a good thing. Dying of a child and dying of an elderly person. So we see there are two criteria, two reactions. It's a good point where we have to analyze what's lacking in child's heart than the older person. And what's more in
they haven't got a lot of baggage that we bring. As we get older, we have a lot of baggage, don't we? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
And we have to learn to let a lot of that go. They don't have that. Some of them are very young, and some of them are teenagers, but even so, they don't have a lot of that baggage, and they just seem a lot calmer, a lot more at peace within themselves. You see it in their faces.
Yeah, okay. That's a good thing. Good point to start with. Any others? Yeah, you have something.
Probably seeing the illusion of self realising that who is it that dies? You know, seeing Anguttara possibly. And so there's not the fear that was there.
Yeah. Okay. We are almost enclosing the details into the core business today. So, however they define the peacefulness of a death in modern terms, the question we have to ask is, this peacefulness which is said about that death is by whom? By him? Yeah, by the people around him. So how can these people know whether he is dying peacefully or not? That is something he has to say. Well, I'm dying peacefully. Oh, I'm dead peacefully. Yeah, that is how it should come. Because that he is the person who's going to experience his death. We can't experience somebody else's death. At least, is anybody here or somewhere in the world can read and know everything going on at that last stages of a dying person? In Sri Lanka, in my country, and we call good deaths and bad deaths. Good deaths are if you happen to die in a very luxury private hospital, they say, oh, he had a very good death. Because you paid a big bill. So they are very proud of paying big bill and die. So, and sometimes they say a good death means, you know, some people die when in the sleep. The next morning you find the dead body. So people used to say, he had a peaceful death in the sleep. And bad death sometimes comes in our country, I don't know whether it is same here. If you happen to have an accident and die, they say it's a bad death. And if you have been on the bed for a very long time due to a disease, it's a bad death. And sometimes killing and murdering, sometimes you've been a car accident or train accident, and due to tsunamis and floods, drowning, all that kind of stuff is called bad deaths. The question I am asking from all the people who say good and bad is that, who says this is good and bad? The people report us. It seems a good death. But if somebody is to tell the true story, that true story has to come from the person who's dying. And there are a lot of philosophers in the world who proclaim that one day they will tell all the people what the death is. But all of them died without telling a word about how they were dying. What happened? So that means there's something that goes out of our control at the last minutes of the death. That's the truth. So we all are prepared, we all know that we are dying. We know all the reasons and philosophies behind. The point is that when the death comes, it is completely different scenario. So this sutta helps us to evaluate. The Buddha or the Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta who was preaching, who was talking about these points, well, his definition is whether it is a good death or a bad death is defined by not the way he is dying, not for what reason he is dying. It is what happens after death. That is the criteria. And some people, even from Sri Lanka, most of the Asian people like to come to England because it's a pride for them to tell their parents that we are living in England. But some people here, they undergo lots of suffering that they've been in Sri Lanka. But they want to hide it. The people who go to Middle East, they housemaids and all kind of contractors, small jobs. They come with big stuff and TVs and radios and all kind of stuff and show the whole village and we've been better off in Saudi Arabia. But they never say the truth. What kind of a suffering they underwent. They show people. So it is really determined by what happened to you after coming to England? What happened to you after coming to Saudi Arabia? Were you living a happy life? Were you okay with your wealth? Did you earn much? Or do you have any problems? That is the criteria that will come for him to say anyone that, my migration from Sri Lanka to UK was fantastic or rather bad. So one fellow I met in our forest monastery, he came for a job actually, and he was a little fluent in English, and when we asked about his background experience, he said, I was there in the UK 30 years. Everybody was surprised because 30 years living in UK, he's coming for a job in Sri Lanka, is not very proper, not really. It's happening. If you live 30 years, why can't you stay other 15 years there in UK? If you're happy. Then we ask, why you are coming here in that case? I'm a bit sick, finally they thought, I should go back home. Who thought that? No, I was in the prison, 30 years. This is what he was saying. So you see that we should not get the ideas governed by the decorative details that people say. We really have to dig into the matter and analyze the situation before you come to a conclusion, even about death, to say whether it is a good or a bad one. So the Buddhist teachings always on the side of what happens to you after the death, whether it is a good transmission or a bad transmission. For anybody to believe this, before that we need to believe something else. That else is that we need to believe or accept the fact that there is a life after death. That is the first thing. Well, having certain views on the death and after, like it's a kind of a big debate going over hundreds and hundred years. That's okay. I'm just talking through Buddhist teachings. So whatever he saw three worlds. One thing as the world of formations, Sankhara world. The other one is he saw the world of space, Avakasha Loke. Third one is he saw the world of beings. And his description about what he saw by his powerful mind was being slowly proven by the modern science after so many 2,600 years. Keep the science aside. But what he saw, what always he says that, like we now talk what I said, the Buddha was a human. He was not a god, but he was a superhuman, you can call him. You know what? He completely cleaned his mind, and he had perfections done in very long time before, so that he could improve his ability to penetrate certain levels of hindrances, which is normally cannot be done by normal human mind. So what he saw was enormous. So not only he saw all those things, he thought about them. But what he said was that these things are not for you to remember, because these are not very important for the purpose of enlightenment. What is really required for the enlightenment is your perfect practice in purifying your mind. You don't need this stuff. But he said that because one day, with the development of modern science, people always ask questions. Now when I teach children, it's amazing, they always say why, what, how, when, all those questions. I really like it because the Buddha wants people like that. He never wanted people who swallow the time. What he says it's very blunt. I need wise people to think it through. He never said to follow me. He never said anybody to take refuge in me. What he said was, come and listen first. And listen well. Inspect it, investigate it. Then if you understand it, and if you are in the position of accepting it, do that. If not, please experiment furthermore. Not only he told people to look at his teachings, he wanted everybody to look at him. Because he was a symbol of kindness, symbol of wisdom, symbol of what he taught people. So either by looking at him, the way he think, the way he talk, the way he behave, or by listening to his teachings, we can go through the area where we haven't gone before. So what he said was that you also can come to this stage and see what I saw, provided you got to experience, you got to do what I did. But it was a human work, you also can do it, he encouraged everybody. So, the story he said, what happened after the death, that he said, you can be born in any one of those out of 30 planes of existence. 4 existence of formless, and 16 of form, and 6 divine worlds, and 4 bad worlds. He said this. So the thing is that when you die, you cannot decide where to go. It has been decided by your own karma. How you behave, what you talk, what you thought. So if you thought that it was your speech, it was your work, it was your thoughts and your work, fine. Take the responsibility. You go. And people who said, no, it was not us, it was a kind of a very automatic natural sequence, we never said that was ours. Fine. The Lord Buddha says the karmic mechanism is that people who do not claim that or the ownership of what they said, fine. They don't go anywhere. That's the end of it. You see that? That's what you said correctly. Thinking that the personality, the belief of personality. So, in a time people look at everything through science. Lord Buddha says, when he was describing about the world of space, one sun and one moon, the light of one sun and one moon, where it is inside him, is a chakravala. That means it's a, we call in some modern sense, it's a, solar system. Solar system. And many thousands of that is going to be chakravala. 2,000 of that going to be chakravala. Why chakravala? He said, all these formation of clusters, he said, in a circular form. Either spiral form or a circular form. It's been proven. It cannot exist in square form. He saw this. And he said, in this one chakravala, there is one earth, 6 divine fields, 16 form and formless 4, and 4 bad worlds. And there are many thousands and millions and billions of chakravala like that. And there are many earths, many divine fields, many divine worlds, many formless, many forms. So there are sets of many millions of this setup everywhere in the space. What does it mean? There are more earths habitated by humans out there. We call them aliens. Aliens means we don't know who they are, but Buddha did. So I like to view this small clip I downloaded from YouTube. It's a very small one, to take an idea about what Buddha was talking about. So basically, when somebody dies, he either go to 1-4 worlds of the bad worlds, either to hell or the ghost, what do you call it, ghost world? The 4 bad worlds. Usha?
The hell worlds.
The hell and other 3 in English term.
The
hungry ghost,
the
and animal.
asuras, the animal realms.
Yes, yeah, those 4. And
do we want to have the blind drawn? Can people see it?
I think it's on.
you can, oh yeah, it's okay. Yeah, okay, start. Thank you, sir.
Welcome to Top 10 Archive. The longer we stay on Earth, the more apparent it becomes that maybe we should have a backup plan should we live long enough to completely dry her up. On our quest to find the perfect place to call second home, we've come across these incredible exoplanets. Factoring in the Earth Similarity Index, or ESI, we've compiled the top 10 Earth-like planets discovered over the past decade. Number 10, Captain B. In June of 2014, the High-Accuracy Radio Velocity Planet Searcher discovered the potentially habitable exoplanet Captain B, found to reside in a system estimated at over 11 billion years old, about 7 billion years older than our own solar system. Captain B orbits the red subdwarf star Captain and is 12.8 light-years away from Earth. Captain B has an ESI of 0.67 and, while found within a habitable zone capable of liquid water, is believed to have a temperature of approximately minus 91 degrees Fahrenheit or roughly minus 68 degrees Celsius, and therefore too cold to sustain water in a liquid form. But with enough CO2 in its atmosphere, this may not even be a factor. Working against the argument of habitability is the fact that some researchers, such as Paul Robertson at Penn State University, think Captain B may not even exist and may just be a star spot mimicking a planetary signal. Number 9. Gliese 667cc. Orbiting around the red dwarf star Gliese 667c, some 23 light-years away, the exoplanet Gliese 667cc is within the habitable zone and has an ESI of 0.84. In November of 2011, astronomers noticed the super-Earth and started to find similarities to our own planet. The habitability of Gliese 667cc depends on where you're aiming to terraform, as the two hemispheres display complete opposite properties. One side is completely shrouded in permanent darkness, while the other is constantly facing towards the red dwarf. It's believed that, between these hemispheres, there's a sliver of space that may experience temperatures suitable for human life. There is, however, a possibility of extreme tidal heating upwards of 300 times that of Earth, calling into question whether, at times, Gliese 667cc may be a little too hot for habitation. Number 8. Kepler 442b. Launched in 2009, NASA's Kepler Space Observatory has succeeded on numerous occasions in its mission to find Earth-sized planets. Announced in January of 2015, alongside the discovery of Kepler 438b, 442b has an ESI of 0.83 and a radius of 1.34 radians, quite a bit larger than Earth's radius of 0.009 radians. While located within the habitable zone and deemed one of the most Earth-like planets in regards to temperature and size, life would be quite a bit different on 442b. For instance, a year would only be 112.3 days long, and we'd experience only 70% of the sunlight that we're used to receiving on Earth. Since the axial tilt is believed to be fairly small, we also shouldn't expect to enjoy the quarterly change in seasons that we're accustomed to. Number 7. Proxima b. With an ESI of 0.87, Proxima b may be one of the most Earth-like exoplanets to date, but that doesn't mean it's the greatest candidate for habitability. Though it shares many characteristics with Earth and touts a higher ESI, if you haven't noticed yet, that's not a guaranteed proponent of habitability. In fact, Proxima b, which is only 4.2 light-years away, is likely uninhabitable due to incredibly high stellar wind pressures. Compared to Earth, Proxima b is thought to be subjected to pressures of more than 2,000 times what we experience. Coupled with the radiation from its host star, it's possible that the exoplanet would have no atmosphere to sustain life. In October of 2016, researchers at the National Center for Scientific Research in France hypothesized a chance for surface oceans and a thin atmospheric layer, though proof has yet to be discovered. Number 6. Kepler 438b. In January of 2015, the newly found Kepler 438b, located 470 light-years away, was deemed one of the most Earth-like planets ever discovered, making it an incredible candidate for the potential of life. Though it has a potential ESI of 0.88 and still carries similarities to our home world, research later that year determined that, while still Earth-like, 438b may be missing qualities needed for habitation, such as an atmosphere. The planet's nearby star emits flares 10 times more powerful than the Sun, leading to the possibility of a stripped atmosphere. There's still hope that Kepler 438b, which is 12% larger and receives 40% more light than Earth, may be usable if it has a magnetic field like our own. Number 5. Wolf 1061c. At an ESI of 0.76, Wolf 1061c is a potentially rocky super-Earth exoplanet discovered in December of 2015, some 14 light-years away from Earth. Orbiting Wolf 1061 at 0.084 AU, the exoplanet is closer to the inner edge of the habitable zone and is believed to be tidally locked. With one side permanently fixated on its star, the possibility of an extreme difference in temperatures on either side of the planet is incredibly likely. On the warmer side, liquid water may be sustainable, though it's hypothesized to have an icy equilibrium temperature of minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit or about minus 50 degrees Celsius that could be offset by a thick atmosphere that allows for a transfer of heat away from the side of the planet facing Wolf 1061. Number 4. Kepler-62e. A super-Earth found within the habitable zone of the Kepler-62 star. This exoplanet, which was discovered in 2013, has an ESI of 0.83 and has some of the imperative qualities of potentially livable planets. On top of being rocky, the planet is also believed to be covered in an extensive amount of water. One factor working against 62e as a habitable zone is the 20% increase in stellar flux from what we experience on Earth, which can trigger temperatures as high as 170 degrees Fahrenheit or about 77 degrees Celsius and start a detrimental greenhouse effect. In relation to Earth, 62e is 60% larger and orbits the Kepler-62 star 243 days quicker and receives 20% more sunlight than Earth does. Number 3. Kepler-62f. Kepler-62f may only have an ESI of 0.67, but this super-Earth, discovered at the same time as 62e at about 1,200 light-years away from Earth, poses one of the best scenarios for habitability. Where the exoplanet may fall short in its ability to sustain life is its possible lack of an atmosphere, which would lead to any surface water to be ice. At 1.4 times larger than Earth and with an orbital period of 267 days, life on 62f would be fairly similar to life on Earth. That is, of course, if its atmosphere were similar to that of our own. As of now, much remains unknown about the theoretically habitable planet, including whether or not it's mostly terrestrial or predominantly covered in water. Number 2. Kepler-186f. Kepler-186f of the Kepler-186 system may only have an ESI of 0.61, but the 2014 discovery is the first Earth-like exoplanet to have a radius similar to Earth's, measuring in at about 10% larger. Found 500 light-years from Earth in the Cygnus constellation, 186f has an orbital period of 130 days and only receives 1/3 the energy from its star that Earth receives from the Sun. In terms of livability, 186f is within the habitable zone, but unknown atmospheric factors make how habitable it may be impossible to determine. Like Kepler-442b, 186f has a low obliquity that keeps it from experiencing seasons like Earth. Of the 4 other planets in the Kepler system, 186f is believed to not be tidally locked like its neighbors and may be the only one far enough away from the Kepler star to sustain water. Number 1. Kepler-452b. Also known as Earth 2.0, the discovery of Kepler-452b by the Kepler Space Telescope was announced in July of 2015. Found 1,400 light-years away from Earth, the super-Earth, which has an ESI of 0.83, was located in the habitable zone of a G-type star that shares a very similar mass and surface temperature of our Sun. While 452b's smaller radius indicates it may have a rocky terrestrial surface, the habitability of the exoplanet remains widely unknown, though it's believed to be subjected to a runaway greenhouse effect. The exoplanet is approximately 60% larger than Earth and has a year that's only 5% longer than our own, earning it the title of Earth's cousin.
So, this is the report of findings by United States.
I'm here today to announce the final Kepler survey catalog of planets.
Post, please. So this is a kind of a summary of reports, but the official news has been broadcasted very recently by NASA, confirming what this report says is true. That's it.
I'm here today to announce the final Kepler survey catalog of planet candidates found from the Cygnus field. This is the first 4 years of data that Mario just talked about. This is the last search that we performed, and we used our most improved techniques. And with that, we found 4,034 candidates, which include 10 new terrestrial-sized candidates in the habitable zone of their star. What you can see here is that most of the planets found by Kepler are smaller than Neptune. And Kepler really truly has opened up our eyes to the existence of these small terrestrial-sized worlds. Now if we go to the next slide, I highlight the 219 new candidates found in this catalog. Most of them are small, less than 3 Earth radii, and several of them lie even out at long orbital periods, near to the orbital period of the Earth around the Sun.
So, coming back to our discussion, gentlemen, now what the human eye cannot see can be seen by man-made instruments like Kepler and Hubble. But even the Hubble and the Kepler is not the final development of scanning what is there to see what's there in the universe. And there are much more things around us where we can't see, at least where we can't sense. But it doesn't mean that they are not available. So it is a very foolish base or tactic or idea to express our view on the basis of what we can pick up from our senses. They are so weak. Sometimes the sense of dog is much more stronger than humans. So if dog has to say, they will say a completely different story of what we see. So we better be quiet about our abilities of expressing things. But whatever you can see. In one of the lectures I did in Sri Lankan universities about the mind and the gravitational field, for 2 hours, in the audience were about 17 scientists, the head of the departments of universities, and after 2 hours, one professor who had experience of 26 years of experimenting on scientific matters, he said, one thing, it was amazing, but I'm sorry to say that I do not accept or believe a word of you what you said in these 2 hours. That was what he said. But he said the second part. But it is amazing that how what you say are the most modern development of quantum mechanics. And I cannot imagine how a bhikkhu, how a monk meditating in one of those caves in the forest can know about these things. You know my answer? Sir, what you can see, what you do is using your senses. But the Lord Buddha teaches us to, you can see a better and more world, more deeper world, you can close your senses, faculties, and open your mind. This is what you do in those caves. We have more capable telescopes than you do. So, the whole business of the Buddha and his disciples in 45 years, and even today, is the business about the mind. People say, mind your own business. Yes, they will mind their business about the world. All 84,000 talks that he had given, which has been scripted in Tripitaka, is all about the mind, nothing else. So whatever he said finally ended about the development of mind. So now we are thinking like that. Now we got to believe that there are other solar systems very far away from us, but they have the perfect existing setup of this universe, of ours, Chakravala, one earth and 6 divine fields. And of course the divine field would not be caught by these cameras because it is almost in the thin air. A thin air it doesn't mean that there's nothing. There's something which can be picked up by normal cameras and high powerful telescopes. So, coming back to the speech today, Venerable Sariputta is defining, he comes to the assembly of bhikkhus and asks bhikkhus, do you know how to have a good death, auspicious death? You know how to die happily? Well, people are silent. Then he said, any one of you know bhikkhus? The silence means they don't know. Then the Sariputta says, if you want to die happily, if you want to have a happy death, the only way to do that is to have a happy life. That is how we start this preaching. Okay, then he explained, the bhikkhus asked Venerable Sariputta, what do you mean by a happy death, happy life, a good life? Then he explained there in 5 folds. Before I explain that, I got to explain a little bit about the last item or the fifth item or the sixth item. That is prapancha. Probably if you have referred already in the sutta before, you probably have come across this term, prapancha. Okay? So anybody can explain this for me? Yes, Valerie, come on.
It's often translated as proliferation. It's the tendency of things to sort of build and build and build.
Yeah, okay. Usha, do you come out with something? Papancha?
Yes. To some extent, yes, and causing more and more diffusion and confusion. But wherever one turns attention to is bound to go off to some other direction. So the ability of mind to create stuff.
Yes. Any other who can give us a kind of a very close definition for papancha, which is here in the sutta, papancha. Okay, let me explain. When the Pali word papancha means, there are three things. In Pali we call tanha, that is craving, mana, conceit, and ditti, means the wrong view. What these things are about? The very first thing we have to see that is who we are. Vasanta, what do you think who you are? I don't need book description.
No, at all.
Very good, excellent. So that in that terms you have the right view. What is the right view? That I don't know who I am. Fine, that's the right view too. Any of you gentlemen, ladies, you know? Who do you think you are? It's a very difficult question to answer. Of course, there is very silly question even to answer. Because you know who you are. I am so and so. In profession, I am so and so. Well, I have been English, I live in this country, and this is my religion, and all kind of thing you can say as an answer to this question. This is exactly why the Buddha's teaching help us to find out who we are. But it is not easy. To find out who you are, your books and all those philosophical details cannot help you. You've got to find it within you. To find it, you've got to do it and really put everything into practice. Through the practice only you can see. For example, when it says it consists of three big defilements, you've been wrapped around by these three defilements. One thing is the craving or the extreme desires. Second thing, conceit. You have some kind of a measurement about you. Thirdly, it is the ignorance. So ignorance means the wrong view. So ignorance, not knowing about these two, always promote the craving and the pride of the measurement of the conceit within you. These two very strongly cover you, not letting you to know who you are. For example, now if you think about yourself today, all of us, of course not me, not monks, all of you got some kind of a world order to live, some hidden instruction. So that means you are living according to the parameters and standards set by the world, first of all. When you come to England, you know what to wear for the winter, for the summer, and even it's been changing from one season to season. It's been advertised and all the information will be given by the media. Now the whole world means the media. It is deciding for you to what to eat, what not to eat today. What to wear, what not to wear tomorrow. Whole life is completely governed by these unseen, sometimes invisible media factors. But not knowing this, you would not accept this. No, I am a free person. Why should I live according to somebody else's factors? You say that, but you've been caught. You just cannot decide on your own. For example, if one of the Sri Lankan community, I asked them, okay, if you want to proceed on this path, you need to prove to yourself that you are proceeding. How can you do this? The people who are wearing all those golden earrings, do we call it earrings? can you come to my next session, reviewing all those things? Because now we are talking very deep subject, very like, I mean, when you have the Dhammachakku, the Padi, when the Dham, I, is being created within you, you would not differentiate, this is as gold, this is as silver, this is copper. Everything will be looked to you as just metal. So when you consider this as metal, you would not cost it, you would not give it a price, you will never price tag it. Everything seems the same to you. So half of these people came without earrings, and some other they said, no, we can't do that. I said, why? No, it's not right. What's the problem having it? All kind of reasons. They have their own reasons. True. So that means they have been caught up. The other people had some energy to break through. Go away from those prisons that has been built for you by the world order. From the birth, we live within those parameters. Number two is that even if you are capable of breaking that world order, living according to the world standards, there is another standard set by others for you. For example, if you are the only child or a son of the family, the parents and brothers, sisters and the relative, your teacher, people around you make a world for you. Then you got to live according to that standard, that parameters, that factors. But you like it. What's wrong with it? But you got to understand that you yourself have been completely encountered by two strong worlds like this. Within you lies a prisoner, but he's a happy prisoner. You see, he's happy. He been governed, he been controlled, he been fed by all those two immense barriers. The Buddhist teachings shows you a way and helps you to break all those two barriers in the journey of finding you. You've got to do that. You only can do that by practicing, by having so much of effort to go away from all those standards and establish your own way, according to Buddhist teachings, a own way of talking, living and thinking. It's very difficult to do. Then if you're able to break these two barriers, then you come to another barrier. I'm not living according to the world, I'm not living according to the others, I'm living according to me. That's the third barrier. It's very difficult to understand. You really need to have a very calm mind and profound knowledge of what's happening to understand this. How I living according to me? That's the measurement I have. For example, a person who is entering to the university, then he has one set of measurements to measure him. The moment he becomes a professor, then he has a complete set of measurements around him. I am a professor, so I just cannot wear clothes just like the undergrads wear. I just cannot walk like as a boy who was walking on the road. I cannot use a car just like that man. I should show off. It's automatic. It's so embedded into your life, you don't find anything wrong in there. What's wrong driving a BMW? I don't want to buy a Morris Minor. Who says that? You always go against that. You don't accept that. But the truth is, now you've been governed by your own standards. It's always you change it to the position, to the level of standard. Sometimes when you are a student, now you are on my opposite side being listening as a listener. The way your mind works is such that it won't be the same if you happen to sit in this chair. Then you are a teacher. See that? The mentality is conditioned according to how you think, what to do, and the social state you are enjoying. Sometimes you are a good employee. Then your employee is very happy with you. And that happiness is expressed by giving you a promotion. You're promoted to a manager. But then he finds the worst manager in the company. He was good as far as he was working under a manager. But he could not set his parameters when he became a manager. I'm trying to explain this very in detail so that you can understand very clearly. The third barrier is that we set our own standards. You've got to penetrate that too. Then, if you are able of penetrating all those three barriers, you come to the area where you can find yourself, who really you are. The foundation is that there is a phenomenon called what the world think about you. And there is a second case of what the others think about you. The third is what you think about you. And the fourth is who you really are. You see, to find out who you really are, you got to go through these barriers. That's why we become monks. When we become monks, we only have one color of robes, only 2 sets of robes for the whole life. And we depend on 1 meal a day. We are asked to, we try to sleep about 3 to 4 hours a day. And we spend meditation, helping people, teaching people. And we don't expect anything from the world. And we don't let anybody to have contracts with us. We are always on the move. We don't give promises to people because we don't know we might need to leave tomorrow morning. Personally, if I find that the people are getting very much closer to me because I am a good talker, good preacher, he can give a good understanding about the Dhamma. When I understand that a lot of people are closer to me, that is the day, that's the morning I decide to leave the place. Because I know having strong bonds with people will stop my journey towards to find out who you are. So it's extremely important that you'll have to be 100% free person. You cannot do it with attachments. You know why? This delusion of not knowing who you are is being protected by your favorite friends, craving and conceit. You need them. But you need them for what purpose? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's for a world that you create for yourself. In our country, sometimes the ladies, when they want to go for a wedding party, wedding celebration, they always buy a new sari. I think it's the same with Usha's country. They need a brand new sari, some very costly. Even poor people think like that. Why they need a brand new sari? Every time they go on a party means they think that other people are waiting to see the new sari of her. But the fact is that nobody cares. Nobody wants to see the other people's sari. They want to show off their sari. Nobody is looking at it. So what the purpose of having this kind of makes you see that? That spoils you, that dilutes you. So like that people. So as far as you give a measurement to you as I am so and so, as far as you are being surrounded by my things, this is mine, this is my place, this is my education, this is my intelligence, this is my state of the intelligence, education or state of the society, you've been very well guarded and protected not to go into the understanding of find out the truth. That is called prapancha. More you involve in those two, you will never understand the existence of the personality. You will think this is me, and based on that, I am so and so, and these are my things. Seems okay, but it's not true. To understand that, you cannot understand this by reading books, not by listening to Dhamma talks like this. You got to do it for yourself. This is what we do. To do that, you need to have a big change of your lifestyle. You have to forget about that you are Britons. And you have to forget about that you are educated. You have to forget about that you have families. You have to forget about that you at least are human. Because to get yourself lightened, to travel a long journey like this, you need to abandon a lot of things, including these three. But these three are the major things. So prapancha is involving your life with all these three factors. So Nippapancha means getting rid of papancha is always trying to go away from these three things. When it comes to a challenging situation, where you have to show your pride and the measurement, no, I am a humble person like you. You go down deliberately to show that you have nothing. If you think that this is useful to listen to my word, it's okay, I will do that, but I don't want to be your teacher. This is the humbleness you should carry out with you. What else? Okay, so let me take from 1.1. The Venerable Sariputta tells to the bhikkhu, if you want to live a happy life, why people cannot live a happy life? Because number one is that they are big talkers. They delight in talking. See what happens when you delight in talking. It shows there are two things, two bad things what will happen. Firstly, if you are talking too much, you do not know what you are talking about because you are so fast. Right? It's like driving over limits on a motorway. Right? You will know only when you finish having an accident. You cannot see it from very few seconds before. So talking and talking and talking, when you do not know when you are talking, what will happen is sometimes you talk lies. But you don't know that you talk lies. Because everybody wants to make their speech beautiful. To make it beautiful and thrilling. So they add a lot of lie stories that is not true. Sometimes to exaggerate the scenes. They always add some adjectives in your language. But if you really go very closely in the meaning of those adjectives, none of those adjectives are true. Can you comment on that? You want to make it very bright and very sort of, you see that? But the thing is that in the attempt of changing the truth, you express something non-true. The water is the most purified thing. When you add anything into this, it becomes what? Contaminated. But in this world, you got to pay a higher price for Coca-Cola, or Pepsi-Cola, or coffee. They are all contaminated water. Do you agree with me? Something has been added to the water. So, water is not given importance. People always like contaminated water. They pay and they buy it. Similarly, our talk is very truthful. It's not very interesting. If those boasting and exaggeration and adjectives are not there, what do these media have to say? It's not interesting. Shut it off. Go to the other channel. Everybody will say. You need lies. So when you are a very fast talker, to make your story beautiful, speech beautiful, without you knowing, you add certain lies. Lies means unwholesome speech produce unwholesome results. You don't know that. Number two, when you delight in talking so much, some people, when you get up from the bed, they start talking to your wife and talking to children, talking to the driver, talking to the friends, talking. The whole day is talking. They even breathe with talking. So what will happen is sometimes without you knowing, you talk in terms of harsh words. Means words that hurts others. Sometimes hurts you. Whether you consider that's right or wrong, legal or unlegal, if it is harsh, if it hurts, it's an unwholesome speech and which will produce unpleasant or non-pleasant consequences. Sometimes it is a kind of confusing words for people. Sometimes when you have two friends, a story that you tell about somebody else will completely break their friendship. That you don't know. It was not your expectation. But passing in certain information about to another person for the sake of being friendly, more friendly with your friend, sometimes spoils other people's life. Even whether you accept it or not, it's categorically a unwholesome speech, which produce unwholesome consequences. And sometimes your talking arouse as kind of a defilements in listener's heart. For example, if I suddenly stand up and say, look, I got to go because in 2 minutes time there is an announcement from NASA that asteroid will fall into Manchester. What would you do? People who believe me will get fear into their hearts and will fly away back to their families. Whether it is a lie or a truth or an untruth, what I said, I have made certain defilements produce in your heart unnecessarily. Sometimes it can be lust, it can be hatred, it can be something else. But as far as our speech produce anything bad in your mind, listener's mind, or in my mind, the person in the talker, so it categorized as unwholesome, which will produce unwholesome acts. So by being a big talker, what you have done is collecting, without your knowledge or not, a complete session of your life filled with unwholesome activities by speech. The most serious thing the Venerable Sariputta explained is that why you want to talk so much? People who want to talk so much, they are very, very conscious. So that they want to show the world, hey, I am so and so. They want to be leaders. They want to be sort of people who have come out of the other ordinary people. I mean, it's okay to happen that, but the thing is that if you are going to show off that by excessive talking, right, what will happen is you completely go away from the right view of personal existence. You think that I am a person, I am a giant, I am a big person in the society. More you think, more you titles put on top of you, what will happen is that you really make it strong, make the belief of a personality strong. Actually, in search of who you are, you should go the other way, opposite way. But removing all the titles we have, removing all the degrees and all the certificate that has been given even by the government or from the school, keep it aside. You got to go in opposite direction. By doing this, what you have to, you increase the strength so that it is unbreakable. Then Sariputta, Venerable Sariputta suggests, then the people at Bhikkhu ask, okay, what we should do, Venerable Sariputta, in that case? He says, talk to limits, talk to the proper amount. What does he mean by that? If you want to ask a question, ask it in the minimum number of words. You can make it short as much as possible. And if you want to answer any question, give the answer very shortly. That will save you time. Some people, when you go to the telephone, they want to ask one of maybe mother or father, and whether somebody, I have sent a parcel, whether you receive it or not. But when they start, hi mom, how are you? And all kind of story for half an hour, and they put the telephone back, and all of a sudden said, I didn't ask whether that parcel was received. Again they take the call back. Why? Because we have been used to talk nonsense, talk unnecessary things with people. Talking to the point is something that we always miss. So the Buddha and the Sariputta, they advise people to talk properly, talk to the amount that is supposed to be talking. Then that way you not only you save a lot of demerits, accumulating demerits, it saves a lot of time and energy. Talking needs a lot of energy. You do not do anything for the world, just sit in the chair and keep on talking for a few hours. You will be a sick person because all of your energy is lost. You need a lot of talking. Sometimes when you are on the sick bed in the hospital, doctors tells you, don't talk. Refrain from talking. So when the relatives and friends come to see him, he always tells them, doctors told me to keep my mouth shut. Why is telling that? Is there any good reason? He never told me the reasons why I should not talk. He's talking. And if the patient is talking, sometimes you go and say, why this board is there? Why this signboard is there not to talk? And he's keep on talking. So you see that why doctors say when you are really sick not to talk, because that talking consumes everything you have in your body, whether it is physical or mental. Moment that energy is sucked in for talking, you are dead. Because no medicine, no doctors, no medical sequence in this world are capable of saving you from sicknesses. It's your own body that can make it. It should be very, very strong, even at very challenging situations. Your mind and your body. The point is that body itself cannot be strong. It has to be held by the mind. So it is very important to keep your mind strong. So you see that? So talking sucks your energy. It reduces your strength to resist, to help yourself. So talking a little can save a hell of a lot for you. Every way, everything has been saved. And also, you will never make enemies if you are a less talker. Because sometimes you will find he got angry because I said that. I didn't say that, sometimes you say. Because you don't remember what you told. But somebody had heard. Because if somebody is listening, they are listening only the specific area of whether the place that is being concerned about them. They listen, they remember. But you don't remember because you are a fast talker. She got the thing and go home and said, okay, hereafter she's not going to my friend. I don't want to talk to her. You will make enemies. Then, when it comes to bhikkhus, for us, the Lord Buddha's advice is, let's say, gentlemen, what? Not to talk at all. I mean, here I am talking, but when I finish, I'm not talking anymore. When you go into mainly meditation, in meditation don't talk. And when there is no meditation, even eating or going to washrooms or doing our walkings, whatever we do it with keeping our mouth shut. Absolute silence. That is called noble silence. Noble silence. Noble silence. That is the first question I asked from Musha. She's the first person to pick me up from the airport. When I entered the temple premises, there was a board saying that he is the one creator of that board. Please keep noble silence. Then I asked Usha, what does it mean? You remember the answer you gave? Can you say it again, please, loudly? Noble silence.
Oh, what it means doesn't mean outer verbal talking, but before we talk, there's an inner Baddhaka, application of mind going on to what we're going to say, an inner chatter. So when the Buddha is saying noble silence, it also means not having these inner conversations we're having with ourselves even, or making plans, or the papancha, part of the papancha is making plans and proliferation we are causing inside ourselves, because the more there are, the more outer they will come. So that was my answer.
Yeah, that's the noble silence. Because there's another version of silence, non-noble silence. Sometimes when you get angry with your husband or wife, you become silent. But what's going inside? Okay, I'm counting my finger until he comes back in the evening. Then I will have a deal with him. You wash your clothes, you wash your plates, you cook your things, and you sometimes teach your kids silently. But there is a hell of a hellfire going on in your mind. That's a silence, but it is not noble. Noble silence. So bhikkhus are supposed to, spiritual people are supposed to live in noble silence. Then we come to the second point, that is kamma ramatava in Pali, delight in excessive working. In modern countries like this, the multifunction people are highly appreciated, especially when you go for a job. So they ask you, can you drive? Can you write letters? Can you type? Are you capable of working with the internet? Is it okay if I ask you to clean our office premises? And what else you can? Everybody is interviewing, asking your capabilities, because they see this is an asset. I pay one price and buy 10 people. This is what they say. Then what you do is that you are going to show off your capabilities. There was a video clip I saw. A man, his phone is between his shoulder and the ear, and from the right hand he is reading the newspaper, and on the left hand he has a half-finished sandwich, and from the left leg he is trying to put his leg into the shoe, and from the right one he is petting a kitten. It's a nice scene. Somebody looked at that video and said, look, what a capable man. He is doing 5 things at the same time. Do you like to hire a person like that? You just pay one and he will do 5 for you. According to Buddha, he is not doing anything perfectly. Even that kitten is very upset because he doesn't get that petting very nicely. And the sandwich, because he's so unconscious about the sandwich, if you are a friend, you can put anything in between these 2 breads and he will eat it. Because he doesn't know what is inside. And he's not getting what is on the newspaper either. And sometimes he talks nonsense to the telephone. So you see that? What a person who is very fond of excessive working try to show that he can be a multi-function person. He try to do a lot of things at the same time. It's very dangerous because you end up with doing nothing. Or every work you do is to be blamed because it's not completed, it's not clear, it is not accurate. So you can have any number of work for the day, but make sure you do one by one. If you do one by one, you can do hell of a lot of work. And also, to refrain from excessive work, what Venerable Sariputta means is that sometimes, we like to have a lot of directions in our work per day. Like, being secretary of that, being president of that, doing my job, I'm doing a part-time job, at the same time take care of my grandchildren, and you are sometimes be proud of doing a lot of work per day. At the end of the day, you exhaust, but that also a pleasure for you, thinking that I did such a lot of work today. But the point is, are you happy doing all those works? No, you're not happy. You're exhausted. But it's still you're planning for the next busy day, tomorrow. Venerable Sariputta always mentioned that you always say cut off things that is not really useful for you for your life. Just for the pride, just to show off the people, although we expand our lifestyle to do a lot of things, they are not necessary for you. To live a simple life, you should choose what you really require. Not the work you like, the work you need. That is the border where you should not cross. A good spiritual person who is traveling in order to find who I am is always conscious of what I am doing is that what I like or anything what I need. You should got to clearly understand that and engage yourself only what you need. That will minimize the number of work per day. So it is obvious you can do them completely, clearly and accurately. So what happens if you have your day and the life full of works? Number one is that none of the work will be completed. So when it happens, it upsets you. It upsets other people. Upset means what? In Pali it is called patiga. All is there is a restlessness and the ill will. Sometimes hatred develops. So what an unfortunate man, by doing so much of thing per day, finally he is an unhappy man. Not only that, he has throughout the day he has produced so much of mental and verbal and behavioral unwholesome deeds. That will definitely produce, whether you like it or not, unsuitable consequences. Number two, why people want to do a lot of work? Again, back to show off that you are a big person. I am a strong person. I was doing it for last 50, 60 years. Still I can do that. Don't worry. I am so capable. You are going to show off something that is not within you. It's very hard. It needs lots of energy in vain. You see that? Then what the Buddha or Venerable Sariputta suggests you to do? Appakiccho in Pali. Appakiccho means what? Doing what is really needed for you. We monks, we do what is really essential for us to do. Not only need. We cross the border of need and the essentials. We keep only essentials with us. We seek for essentials. What is essentials? Something to eat, something to wear, some shelter to live in, and some little medicine to look after our sicknesses. What more we need? What more you need? See that? When we are conscious about the basics of the life, then you have really crushed and demolished a lot of this unnecessary desire within you that goes and help to eliminate the prapancha within you. And also by doing that you try to evade sort of pride that have been built by utilizing very many years of your life, but understanding the right path, now you are going to abolish it. See that? So excessive, like, need and essentials. So that is the path to go if you go by little. Then coming to the other thing is that in Pali it is called the ninda ramata, delight in sleeping. It is something very difficult to understand to Western people because the whole world, the doctors say, the healthy life is based on 8 hours sleep. Do you believe that or not, please? Can you comment on that? You need to sleep at least 7-8 hours to have a healthy life. Is that right? Why not, sir?
Oh, why not? Well, with the practice, you can build energy up, and then you don't need to sleep because you build the energy up, so you have 3 hours sleep. And okay, that's what could happen. But I'm not saying that.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm not saying it for myself. Just
good, fine. Any response from the audience?
Does it depend on the quality of sleep? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever the quality. How many hours do you really require, do you think? Yeah, I mean it's not very practical to measure the quality of the sleep for a person, but everybody is satisfied, happy with number of hours they sleep. For example, if somebody used to sleep 8 hours, for some neighbors, annoying noise or something like that, if she happens to get up in between and stay about half an hour without sleeping, the next morning she complains. I lost my sleep because of that bastard, they say. And they try to sleep the next day, whole day, to recover. So how many hours do you think it's right for you to sleep? Well, let me tell you the Buddha's life. 45 years of his Sambuddha life, he had a nice plan where from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, he split into 3, and the first 1/3 for the walking meditation, where because the whole day he was sitting, and second mid part to sleep, and the third part again to meditate, spreading his Miththa wisdom all over the world. So this middle part of 1/3 is only 1 hour 20 minutes, 80 minutes altogether. And for the whole day, 45 years, he slept 40 minutes a day. What do you think? Is it practical or is it not to be done? The doctor's idea is you need 8 hours because during the day you enjoy yourself inside. You enjoy your mind. So during the sleep, all those internal doctors who service you free of charge, they come to places where the injury that be taken place, they give medicine, repair it, and by dawn they go back to their centers. This is what the belief is about the 8 hours. The Buddha says, okay, fantastic, let that happen, but what if you do not enjoy yourself during the day? Still, do you need 8 hours of doctor's attendance? You don't. He proved that because he been enlightened person, fully enlightened person, and for enlightened person, there's no defilements that is dancing in the mind in no time. He's a very peaceful person. He always has a Miththa and Karuna, this loving kindness, compassionate ideas within him. He always want to help people, and nothing can make him attracted to anything. Nothing can make him hating towards them. He has a very free and purified mind. So he never injured himself in any challenging situations. So that he said, 80 minutes of sleeping every day is enough for me. He was happy. Well, like you, I didn't believe him when he said that. But I started practicing a sleep of 4 hours a day. I slowly reducing that to 4 hours before I became a monk. And I continued it after I became a monk. Now it has been even shortened. Sometimes I used to get up at 2:30 in the morning. I used to go to sleep at about 12 o'clock. And these days I am getting up at 2:30. I was talking to our chief monk and this month also. Look, when I know the time that's 2:30, I'm happy. My belief is that, I have again a lot of time in the night to do my meditations, do my Dhamma work. So I sit in the chair or sit in the floor to do the rest of my spiritual things. But it doesn't mean that in the morning you feel very sleepy. You feel sleepy because you are not happy with the break of sleep. You got to be happy with less sleep. What happens is, if you are living 90 years, if you are a person according to doctors to live 8 hours a day, that is 1/3 of 24 hours. So 90 years of living, how many years that you have slept on your own bed? Yeah? 30 years you have slept. Is that okay with you? You see that? We have wasted our living. Although you got given 90 years, you have lived only 60 years. That was the time you could do your things. So, a person who sleeps longer hours, develop within himself slow and torpor. He is a less energetic person. Those people like, long hours of sleeping. What happens is, by training yourself to sleep long hours, indirectly you are training your mind to be lazy. This laziness comes forward in all the attempts when you want to develop your spiritual life, because it needs energy. Moment you sit for a meditation, you fall asleep. So what happens to your meditation then? Every time what you know is that, yes, I can remember I sat for the meditation, but I don't know how many hours I slept on the posture. Laziness of the mind. It applies to anything. If you want to want some good cooking, there it goes. With 1 or 2 dishes, you will feel enough of it. In any activity in your life, you are a lazy person. Even if you don't feel that laziness for you, it is being felt by others. Your children, your husband, your wife will complain, your teachers will complain, your employer will complain. You are too slow. You are not completing what I give it to you. Why? Because you don't understand that. Because you have trained your body and mind to be lazy throughout this training you have in the longer hours of sleeping. This is what happened. Especially if somebody is listening to Buddha teachings and want to go on the path where he established, believe me, you need a lot of energy. Energy to change your lifestyle. Energy to abandon things which you never thought I could abandon. You need a lot of mental and physical energy. This Bhante is very young. I am 61 years old. But when it comes to doing things in the temple, he always says, Bhante, you are much stronger than me. You do much more faster things than me. That may be true. Because that was the energy that we have been practicing as a monk. We are fully energized always. Sometimes he and me, we involve in our Dhamma work, sometimes 20 hours a day. We don't feel tired. Not only for 1 or 2 days, every day. You see? So small sicknesses come into us, we don't regard them. Because, as we said, no doctors, no people can cure your diseases, only your body can, only your mind can. So what are we waiting for? You help the body, whichever the way you can help, and forget about it. It's not your duty, it's the body's duty. I mean, it's two decisions, whether you will be okay or you will die. Can you stop that? Can you stop that, Vasanta? If you happen to die, you got to die. There's no way you can escape from that. So help yourself the best way you can and forget about it. You don't want to suffer because of the disease. You don't need to suffer because you are sick. You don't need to suffer because you are aging. You don't need to suffer because your hair became grey. That's the nature. So forget about it. Do whatever you can, you do right now. Before it is too late. So, by sleeping more, what you are doing is that you train your life to be lazy and sleeper. All is sleeping. Sometimes it is very important things even at home. Sometimes you halfway through you start sleeping. Sometimes even in cooking. So, the fourth one is that sansarga ramatava. That is, in English they say delight in socialization. Gana sangika ramatava. Delight in socialization means, you always like to work with people. Your interest is, you have a kind of a attitude where you can't do anything alone. You want to go to shopping, you always call and look for a friend to go for shopping, marketing. You go for a journey, you always look for friends. You have a feeling that you just cannot do it alone. What happens is when you are in a crowd, you need to be responsible for things that you don't do. Sometimes one person in your crowd can suggest a bad thing, a thing that is not proper to do. But because you are a friend of them, you will raise your hands, yes, let's do. You are doing this in vain, just to help your friend. Just because he said, just because you have been there within the company for such a long time, but you don't like it. So by doing that, what you do is that you automatically, even without your knowledge, you go into unwholesome activities. Number 2, this includes killing, hurting and murdering. I'm giving Dhamma talks in prison. There was a guy I met, and he had done very big crime, 2 very big crimes. He said, but he was a happy person. I asked him why he's happy. He said, I came here for a very wrong reason. The punishment they give is too much for me. I only attempt to rape. I didn't do that. But they thought that I raped that girl. I was innocent of that. But I would be happy if they gave me a very small punishment for attempting. Then I said, why are you happy? No, they didn't know that 4 years ago I murdered a person. I was not caught for that. That's why he is happy. He's in the prison, spending few years of punishment. But the point is that he is happy because it's the biggest crime was not noted by the police. You see that? Then I ask him, what happened to you? You are an educated person. What happened to you? Well, all because of friends. So the friends I had in the college, university, they were the friend when I was married and they always did naughty things where I could not refuse for the sake of the friendship. Sometimes I was there when they did wrong things. They invited me to do things. Certain things I did against my will. See the whole story. Now those friends who had helped me, who had invited him to do wrong things, are still playing hell in the society. He's in the jail. This is the consequence, bad consequence of associating you so-called friends. Because sometimes when you associate a friend for a very long time, you miss the point. We miss the point of identifying him as a good or bad. Oh, this is my old friend since my junior school. So whether he's good or bad, I just cannot leave him, leave her. That's the only friend I have. But what if he's so bad? If he's bringing you to an area where you will be get caught to the police or get caught to the legality. Or sometimes you may be addicted to drugs or something else. But at the very first instance you identify you're the best friend even, he is doing something wrong, you advise him to stop. If he is not stopping, leave him. Because he is carrying some other people also to the danger, the misery. Sometimes he may be a bachelor, he is not married, so he has nothing to do with the family. But you are a family member, you are a family. You have a lot to do with for your family. He is not missing anyone, but you miss, you do. So, the other part of the association, a lot of friends, and to be among the people is that the Buddha says that you increase the strength of the view of the person. Well, I am so and so, I am the leader of that, I am the secretary, I am the person that. You know, everywhere you have titles. You are among the people, you are a famous person, you are a very popular person. You do not know what kind of a harm it does to you. The biggest harm is that it makes you the view of personality existence very strong, so strong that in this life you won't be able to break it again. You will never find who you are really. And the other point is that the Sansagaramata is the person who delights in contact. It's a very simple thing. You know, if you are a TV watcher, every day you cannot live without the TV. That means you have become a slave of your own eye. Because the TV is food for eye, food for ear. So whether it is ear or the eye, you are pleased in them, you continue to please them. When it comes to tongue, it is even more dangerous. Sometimes certain foods are bad for you because of the greediness of the tongue. You always go for wrong foods because they are tasty. That's my brand, you always say. But what if it is not good for you? The other thing is that when it comes to contact, you know, pleasing our body is in terms of very many, like dressing up, go for fashions and looking for very soft and costly clothes. You know, they are the symbols of pleasing the body. And spending for your hair, for your facial expressions and beard and hair, whatever, the area that you want to decorate your body is as a pleasing the body. And having an affair with a boyfriend and a girlfriend, also pleasing your body. Having sexual activities, this or that, is again pleasing the body. And having children, also letting this body having a good job and having a good car. How can you please the body? You want to please it. You've become the slave of your own pleasurable feelings. So whether it is the faculty of sense of eye, ear, nose, or tongue, or body, and in the sixth faculty, it's your mind. If you are a person who continue to please whatever that is being demanded by those faculties, because these faculties have been trained such a way in the lone sansara, where you can't say no for this. You always say, what's wrong with it? What's wrong watching a TV? The point is that whenever you want to please your faculties and senses, it brings in craving to you. It brings in the ill will to you. For example, if you are watching the TV, every flash of a second, it brings you pleasure. And some things, not pleasure. So the pleasure, it's always based on craving. Not pleasure, it's based on ill will. So continuous flux of craving and hatred or ill will pouring into your mind, and both are pleasing you because you don't know what's bringing in those TV to you. So for monks, for spiritual people, the very first step is to nikaya. Nikaya is stop pleasing your faculties. That is the very step of a spiritual life. Somebody who always meditates, somebody who knows a very deep Dhamma, but he is still a slave of TV, means he is not doing what he understands. So he should be strong. Because being greedy in pleasing our faculties, always they bring us very bad consequences. We only know that consequences comes later. You're not worried. That's why. So the nikaya means going away, keeping yourself away from pleasing is the safest, the path to liberation. The other one is the papancha. I have already explained you what the papancha is. Then we will go to the last minutes of what's happening in the death. You know, when it comes to the body, we call rupa, they arises and they vanishes in very fast. In the click of a second like this, there are millions of formations and disappearance of rupas. That's our body. And along with the body, the formation of mind is there. These are two attached. To form the mind with the body, you need to have the life within. So there is a flux of formation of mind, here flux of formation of rupa. This goes together. The reason is being born in this bhava due to karma and being fed by 4 nutrients. How you think, your thinking and thoughts, and with this food, and also this heat and cold, that's called rituja, tejo, and also by karma. 4 things feed you to keep on going. And it comes to a area after 10 years, 20 years, or 40, 50 or 80 years where the rupa that is being formed by karma has no power, no strength for further formation. Then it tends to stop. I mean, without knowing all those interior mechanisms, what we feel is that we are becoming sick, always sick here and there. And sometimes in the morning we will find that we are terribly sick. We go to the doctor, he finds out, he does a small test somewhere in your body and says, "Sir, you are having a cancer." So whether we expect it or not, that's his decision. Then we got to work with it, we got to live with it. Then only we tend to think that, okay, I have only a few times to live. Until then, you never thought about it. So what will happen is, you come to a very last moment. So you got to believe that these mind formations are so fast. That is the fastest thing in the world. Right? In a fraction of a second, there are millions of mind forms. At the deathbed, there is a last mind that forms, accompanied with the body. The last mind. That last mind is the most dangerous mind. After that mind forms again in the flux, but not with this body. Right? So, but the last mind that has to be formed with the body is the deciding factor. Deciding factor. It can trace all important events. It doesn't know whether wholesome or unwholesome. It doesn't know the importance or non-importance of that. What it does is, it scans very, very strong moment of your life. If it cannot scan those strong and powerful moments of your life, in this life, it crosses the boundary to the other life, and the other life, and the other life. There are billions and trillions of previous lives we had in the samsara. So the closest, it will catch hold of one major incident from the closest point and bring it to that is called manodwara, to the mind door. So having that understanding on the other side, let me explain what happened for the faculties at the last moment. The first two becoming weak is the eye. Eye becoming blood. Then that is the time you say to your wife or husband, who's here and who's there? You don't know, you see very bloodly, but you can make it right. You don't know whether this faculty is being dying. So the second thing is that second faculty to may die is the tongue. When the tongue dies, you lose the appetite of drinking or eating. Number 2, you do not know whether the doctor or somebody else is putting what into your mouth. whether it is a medicine or something else, food or something like that, or whether it is your own friend. Everything feels the same for you because your tongue is deactivated. Then the other faculty to die is that the nose. When the nose dies, you don't smell anything. Because whether it is sometimes, it is your own discharges from the body that you just lying on that and you don't know what it is. Because most of the things, whether it is suchi or asuchi, whether it is good or bad, we get the signal from the smell of it. When you lose the smelling capacity of this organ, you will lose the identification of what it is. But other people around you knows what's happening, but you don't know. And then the other thing that's going to die is your body. You lose the sense of contacts. You don't know what is happening to, whether they are giving injections to you, whether they are cutting part of your body, you don't know. Sometimes you have seen the people who are staying on sick bed for a long time, they get bed sores on the back. Sometimes they are this big. The patient would not know. Only the doctors and the people who are training him knows. Sometimes they go into the deep of the skeleton, bed sores. The patient doesn't feel the pain because it's already dead. The last thing to die is the ear. That is the most dangerous thing. Because this patient who have been incapable of doing anything by this moment, he can listen very well. The point is that he cannot react. He cannot feedback. He cannot respond. Then from outside man, even the doctor or a helper or a nurse or his relative or a wife or a husband, what they are thinking about this person now? He's not responding anything. It's there. You know of a person alive because whether he or she can respond. Only if she can respond. When somebody is sleeping, how do you know whether she is dead or sleeping? Yeah? The first thing you see is that you look at the chest, whether it is coming up and down. You can't see that, then what do you do? You try to wake him up. Suppose he is not responding. Then you come to a yell and a scream and you go out of the room saying that, calling for an ambulance or police or telling somebody, you are thinking that he's dead. But the point is that if somebody is not capable of responding, he's been taken as the dead. But at the dead bed, at the sick bed, at the last moment, your ear is working. So you can hear all sort of things. When your relatives comes to see you, they talk all kind of nonsense like, okay, where we are going to do the burial or the cremation. They discuss everything what they have to do after the death. But the man is still alive. What happens when you listen to all those stories? See that? Then the last thing to die is your ear. Then when that happens, Dhamma friends, the most dangerous thing starts to happen. That is the time your mind takes over. Then you have no control about your mind. Probably people who had undergone surgeries. This is called post-surgery syndrome. When they are regaining the consciousness, when they fall asleep, they come to terrible dreams. Sometimes they are not sleeping, but they feel like they are seeing dreams, all based on anger, and sometimes very filthy dreams. Sometimes people who had recovered from certain illness, at the moment of regaining consciousness, and they sometimes get heart attacks due to very high provocations of anger within, and sometimes it's a lust. So those are the things we call it in our Dhamma, Anusaya and Asaya. The thoughts that we are working in our mind is all Asaya things on the top of that. But underneath, Anusaya version is the things that have been hidden, all the experiences what we had throughout the whole samsara cycle of world. But they come out only when it is necessary. They come out only when they understand that that man who is on the control of mind is now weak. Then they come out like serpents. It happens to you, it happens to me. It happens to everyone. It doesn't matter whether a human or a deity or a Brahman or an animal. This happens to everyone. last moment of the thought process is very, very serious one. So it scans your life. Now, to end the session, I am telling you what will happen. The person who been delighted in talking, at the top of the society, now he has been sick. Now he cannot talk at all. What do you think? How his mind works? He thinks that, well, I was a person who talked so well. People believed what I said. When they heard that I am coming to that place, hundreds and hundreds of people came to see me, to listen to me. I was that kind of a great talker. Whenever I go to friends, I am always the leader. What we are talking about is the strength of the papanya, the strength of the view of existence of personality. He was very strong in that. Now, he just cannot do anything. He cannot talk at all. Then what happens is that the falling off from that point to this point, null point, is so enormous. He gets shocked. That shock produces four things in your mind. The first thing is the anger. The other one is the fear. Other one is the grief. Other one is the craving to come again. Those four things are there. Dukkha sokya, bhaya, kinti. Yes. So it's a bodily pain, or a mental pain, and the grief, and the craving, or anger. What happens to the person who had been involved in the kamma ramata? So he was delighting excessive work. The whole of life is the example of a person who had worked 24 hours. He did that, he did that. Now at the deathbed, at the sick bed, now even he can't move his finger. So his mind thinks, I was such a person a few years ago. These are the things I did. I was an enormous giant who could do a lot of things at the same time. See what happened to me. I just can't move my finger even. So the drop and the fall is so enormous that it produces a shock in your mind. That shock produces grief, pain, and anger or hatred, anger or fear. Take the case of a person who slept very well, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day. Now this is a moment that you cannot sleep at all. People will see, even the doctors will see that he's sleeping. He's not sleeping. You just can't sleep. He's not responding. The people think that he's sleeping. When you come to the last stages of it, you just cannot sleep. So the person who had been trained himself to sleep such long, now he thinks, look at me. I was a person who slept so well, so much. Now I just cannot, I won't sleep, I just cannot. And the fall is such, it produces a shock. That shock produces within you the fear, pain, grief, and anger. See what happened to a person who's been delighted in association. He was always with friends. Now he finds himself alone. No one is with him. No one, absolutely no one, not even a doctor. Because when they understand there's no point giving any more medicine, they put it onto life support and let you. Then he feels that I'm alone. What was a person? I was a person who was among hundreds of people. There were lots of people around me. Wherever I go, I was surrounded by all brainy people, all good friends. Now look at me. I'm even without help of even my wife, even my husband. No children are with me. That shocks your mind and produces either fear or anger or pain or the grief. Now take a case of where you have been delighted in pleasing your faculties, contacts. Now it is a time where your eye is not working, and nose is not working, tongue is not working, and the body also not feeling, it's so weak that it doesn't get in your feelings from outside. And finally your ear is not working. What happens is, then the mind recalls. And the status that you've been living, well, I was a person who pleased my eyes. I was always enjoying all those faculties, the best possible way. Now look at me what had happened to me. Now my eye is not working, and ear is not working. None of the faculties are working properly, so I cannot please myself. Then it gives the mind a shock, because the fall is too much. And it produces all those four mentalities, either fear, or anger, pain, or grief. What happens if you are a person who deluded in papancha? You means you look at the word, you use the world, and you were among all the friends, you never wanted to know who you are. So you have been playing with the world, you have been playing with the others, you have been playing with you never wanted to find who you are. So you are a person to be nourished with papancha. Then what happened? What happens is, now this one, even now at this stage your mind is so weak, your body is so weak, you just cannot even think about it. Then you have a kind of a feeling, well, I didn't do when I was capable of doing it. It's a big fall. It produces the fear, anger, and the grief and the pain within you. Now we will see what happens when those mentalities being formed. If the last mind that is being formed with this body is going to be fulfilled with fear, that mind will take the same file abroad. Whatever the becoming he is going to go, he is seeking the fear. He wants to complete the business he started. When I say he, that is the mind. If the mind was the basis with the fear, that fear has to be carried forward, so that the fear is a thing that he would like in the next becoming. What do you think the world that is completely filled with fear is? The animal kingdom. All the animals, whether an elephant or an ant, they always live in fear. Before they eat something, have you seen those people, look here and there? For two purposes. Who will come and take my food? Or who will come and take me as food? They always live in fear. So that is the world you are going to go. So would that be auspicious? It's not a good way to die. What happens if the pain is being the mentality of your mind that's to be formed for the last time in this life? Pain, dukkha. Then you will take the same file abroad. The mind wants to have that in even the next becoming. So what do you think the state of living with fulfilled with always there is a pain, dukkha, is a hell. Hell is a place of existence where all the beings suffer with pain. The point is that if you happen to interview a person from the hell, how do you feel? I'm fine. I'm very happy living here. One day if I happen to detailedly explain you the variety of minds, I will tell you there is a variety of mind called that wherever we go, we have a liking mind. That liking mind likes whether you have been born as a small creature in a septic tank, as a worm. You will like to be a worm. Worm. That's how mind works. So whoever who died with the painful mind is going to be born in the painful state of living existence. That's the hell. Now what happens, we'll see. If those fall and the shocks produces fear in your mind at the last moment, then that fear has to be reproduced in the next bhava, next life. Sorry, not the fear, dukkha and grief. If it was the grief, your final condition and the color and the shape of your mind, that grief has to go to other bhava, other life. Where you can hold the grief as the complete consistency in next bhava is the hungry ghost state. where every creature of this hungry ghost state live in a grief. They have no satisfaction at all, no happiness at all. Whatever they get, they are not happy at all. I mean, it's okay if you can come back after 2-3 years. If you happen to go to animal kingdom, fine. You can come back and say not to come back to human world. You don't know where you would go. But you can be released sometimes from the animal world. But if you happen to go to hell, the Buddha explains there are 136 varieties of hell. The closest and the most comfortable one, the name is Sanjeeva. And one day there is 90 million human years. He describes every small details of those hells. So it is a dream if you want to come back. And if you happen to go to hungry ghost state, there the life is unexplained, sometimes in 100,000s, sometimes in aeons. You go to suffer like that. And suppose if that shock produces anger, that anger has been can be maintained only in one power. That's one of those 4 bad words. That is we call asura existence. What do we call for asura? Do we know that? Asura? Demons, yes, demons. So that will be the demons world. So they are also it's very, very high lifespans. So you see, friends, so Buddha and Reverend Venerable Sariputta ask people to assess the death, whether it is happy or not happy, not in the terms of that has been, I said on the what will be found on the internet. You can say somebody passed away peacefully, only if you know that where he went after death. Unfortunately, or sometimes fortunately, we don't know. So we can call it by any name, but it is not the truth. So if we happen to come to human world again, fine, it's a peaceful pass away. If you happen to go to divine world, it is a peaceful path away. And if you happen to go to one of those Brahma world, it's a peaceful path away. Fine. And if you happen to end your life only at this death, just like if you destroy complete papancha within you, then it is a proof that you will be never born. So this is your last death. That you have completely abolished Sakkaya Ditthi, the view of the existence of a personality. That is what you got to crush. You got to do a lot of practices for that. Now, for the final thing, let me go from the beginning, those 6 factors. On the other side, what if after listening to this Dhamma, if somebody decides, okay, I was a good talker, but hereafter, I will try to keep my noble side as wherever possible. Then what he does is actually he works against Papanya. He works against the personality belief. And he becomes a person who always, if you happen to talk to the monk that he has to be told. And sometimes when he comes to bhikkhu, we better always be the speechless as much as possible. We will open our mouth only if it is necessary. And it is only for a Dhamma matter. If you live a life like that. And we come to the second one, Kamma Ramata. If you delight in excessive work, what you do is, okay, you cut off. After listening to the talk, somebody decide, fine, I'm going to cut off and put away all the unnecessary work. I will be more involved in the work indeed. And in our case, essential work. And I have no any more work on top of that. So I always live a happy life with a lot of small work. I still live like other people. And I am happy people, not like them. And after listening to this kind of talk, you take a decision, okay, I am a big sleeper. I sleep sometimes 10 hours, but not anymore. Right? I go home and from today onwards, I try to, sleep 4 hours a day and to see what happens to me. Right? That increases your energy, it becomes your energetic, right? Fine. And sometimes you are a person who being always with friends, with the society, and you make a very good understand to yourself, saying that what is the purpose of being with the society? Okay, only I delight myself, only I get the praise from them, and also the problem sometimes. So I better be secluded. I try to live a lonely life. I don't need people to live. Because I was born alone, I am going to die alone. Why do I need people to live in between? So I make a decision. So you try to seclude. cut everybody one by one, and it will be your own patipada, own practice now. Then you go to the other point, where you are pleasing your faculties, sansarga ramata. Then you take a decision, hereafter I won't watch TV. I don't want to read the newspaper, that's no use. Right? It only promotes the hatred and the craving within me. When you see the advertisement, it produces craving. When you go for the other general things, what is happening to Britain, it creates all this ill will again with you. And opportunity notices make you sick, and when it comes to sports, it make you again wild. So, has it done anything useful to you? From one by one, you go away from all those pleasing faculties. And the last thing, papanja. I was a person who was trying all these steps to find myself. I myself becoming simpler and simpler every day, because I want to be the smallest person in the world. The whole of my life years, I was trying to become the biggest person of the world. Now understanding the truth, understanding the wasting of my lifetime, I just decided to become the smallest. One day, if you happen to, when you become smaller and smaller again, one day you will find yourself disappeared like this into the thin air. That is the time you call yourself enlightened. You have no measurements at all. In this space of the universe, you have no coordinates. Nobody can find you. Okay? Not even Tom Tom. Okay. So, if you are a person like that, you also come and die one day, and you come to the last minute of your day, then what happens? When it comes to, then the first thing is that you will find that I can't talk. Now it has happened. It happened to you. I just can't talk. Then your mind thinks that, well, that's okay. Because even that, the time I could talk, I didn't. I kept myself quiet. So what's the big problem? Now I am close to the death. Fine, I don't want to talk. So then there's no shock. When there's no shock, it doesn't produce all those four: fear, pain, and anger, and the grief. You're absolutely free. What if you secluded from Kama Ramata? You did only little things that it is really required for your life. At the deathbed, you will find that you can't work anymore, you can't move your fingers. Then the mind thinks that that's okay. Because at a time, I was completely capable. I didn't do much work, I did only my useful work. So what's the problem now? Being a sick person, if somebody is giving me medicine, somebody is looking after me, I just have to wait and see. That's not a big problem. It doesn't produce any shock in my mind. So that all those four mentalities are not produced. What if you refrain from long hours sleeping? You're an energetic person. You slept only few hours a day. And when you come to the last moment of your deathbed, you find that you can't sleep. The mind thinks that's okay. Because even at the time that I could sleep much longer, I didn't. I never wanted these long sleeps. That's okay. I can stay awake maybe very many days. I'm happy doing that. So the mind won't get shocked, and it would not produce those four mentalities. Coming back to the sensual pleasures, if you cut off all those pleasing parts, then what happens is that when you understand your eye is dying, ear is dying, nose is dying, tongue is dying, you are losing the ability of your contact. The mind thinks, well, it's okay. I never expected all those nonsense, even when my eye was capable, ear was capable, nose was capable. When they were really required things, I said no. I never wanted them. Why do I want it right now? Then what happens? It won't get sharp, because you are in a state where you had been, a state like you had been. It's not special for you. So it doesn't produce all those four mentalities. Finally, and papancha, if you are not delighted in papancha, you wanted to make yourself smaller and smaller every day. Now at the deathbed you will find you are a small person. Then your mind thinks, that's okay. I wanted to be a small person. I'm so glad that I find that I'm very small now. Let me be like this. You're a happy person. It doesn't anyway produce any shocks, and it would not produce any form mentality such. Then your last mind that's to be formed within this life is so pure, so happy, that qualifies for your visa to divine worlds. And it gives you a ticket. Here you get the free ticket to divine worlds. We don't charge you, no problem. So people knowing about those things, what happens to you after the death is the only criteria anybody can say whether it is a peaceful death or not, happy death or not. But you can know it beforehand. How? By living according to those 4 or 5 factors. Do it now. Start it now if you want to die happily. Thank you.
Yes.
I want you to have 2 minutes to watch this.
Oh, right.
Because this is none other than the former CEO of Apple Computers. He died at the age of 56, and he was one of the richest, he was the richest person once in the world, whole world. And his assets are limitless. But when he was diagnosed as having a pancreatic cancer, which is one of the rarest. And one morning he had a pain on the left side of his stomach. He straight away called the doctor, went there, and finally he was diagnosed with this, and 4 years later he died. Look at what he has to say at the last moment of his life.
I reached the pinnacle of success in the business world. In others' eyes, my life was an epitome of success. However, aside from work, I have little joy. In the end, wealth is only a fact of life that I'm accustomed to. At this moment, lying on the sickbed and recalling my whole life, I realized that all the recognition and wealth I took so much pride in have paled and become meaningless in the face of impending death. In darkness, I look at the green lights from the life-supporting machines. I hear the humming mechanical sounds. I can feel the breath of God of Death drawing closer. Now I know, when we have accumulated sufficient wealth to last our lifetime, we should pursue other matters that are unrelated to wealth. It should be something that's more important. Perhaps relationships. Perhaps art. Perhaps a dream from younger days. Non-stop pursuing of wealth will only turn a person into a twisted being, just like me. God gave us the senses to let us feel the love in everyone's heart, not the illusions brought out by wealth. The wealth that I have won in my life, I cannot bring with me. What I can bring is only the memories precipitated by love. That's the true riches which will follow you, accompany you, giving you strength and light to go on. Love can travel 1,000 miles. Life has no limit. Go where you want to go. Reach the height you want to reach. It's all in your heart and in your hands. What's the most expensive bed in the world? A sick bed. You can employ someone to drive the car for you, make money for you, but you can't have someone bear the sickness for you. Material things lost can be found, but there is one thing that can never be found when it's lost: life. When a person goes into the operating room, he will realize that there is one book that he is yet to finish reading. The book of healthy life. Whichever stage in life you're at right now, with time, we will face the day when the curtain comes down. Treasure love for your family, love for your spouse, love for your friends. Treat yourself well, and cherish others.